Do you want to play a game? Podcast.
They're here.
Welcome to another episode of Blood, Gore, and Ghouls podcast. I'm your host, Ian Van Gool, and as we do each week, of course, we'll be talking about horror movies, news, fun facts, and anything else horror-related that you'd like to hear about. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at Blood, Gore, and Ghouls _podcast and send us an email at bloodgoreandghoulspodcast@gmail.com. So again, this week, I have yet another returning guest. He is one half of the Project Skeptic Podcast. My brother, my friend, give it up for the Bumbeeno.
Give me a hell yeah!
What in the hell?
Yo, what's up, brother?
shit.
How you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Always.
Yes.
Anytime.
Yeah,
I meant to have both halves of the Project Skeptic Podcast today, but
Yeah,
someone was a little under the weather.
It'll
so,
happen.
You know,
one of
you
these
know,
days it'll happen.
Life happens. How you been though? What's been new
Oh my god!
since last you were here?
I tell you, we went out. We did some things.
Yeah,
We won some things.
you were a big winner.
That was a big winner, but it didn't go without some risk.
Well, that's life.
That's it. High risk,
High reward.
high reward.
Yeah.
I guess for some, but it was good. It was a great weekend. Good week altogether. I thought maybe we can do it again this week.
Oh, okay.
Not necessarily win everything, but just have a
Right.
good week.
Well, yeah. Yeah, you don't have to win to have a good week.
No, exactly.
But
Yes,
it helps.
it does.
But yeah, we've spent about every day together
I know.
over the weekend here. So
Yeah, we even went. Guys, we even went bowling.
we went bowling.
Can you believe it?
I haven't bowled in years, and you could tell.
I thought it was good. It was good. I didn't really care for the place.
The place,
Like, I'll call
yeah.
it the place.
Yeah.
But it was good to get out and roll the ball a couple times.
Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
nice change of
Yeah.
activity.
Yeah.
Not something we, at least that I do ever.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I've always enjoyed bowling. Just don't ever do it. So
I know. I was thinking, wait, I might just go a little further, and I just might get my own stuff.
yeah,
And that way I know so the ball's there, right?
Right.
They're
Yeah.
not always the best,
Right.
And you don't know how they spin or how they behave, I guess. I don't know their technical
yeah. I think
terms.
that's why I did pretty bad
Yeah, I
because
bet
of the ball.
I bet.
think is what it was.
it was the ball.
The ball wasn't right,
Probably the pins
so
too.
I wasn't right.
Freaking pins.
It was the place in general, I think. Yeah, there's two bowling alleys in our area, one of which is very popular, especially for a Saturday night.
Oh my god.
So there was no getting into that one. So we went to the other spot, which many lanes available,
many.
and regardless, it was a fun time.
Yes.
Slums or not, it was a fun time.
It was a good time.
So how was your Halloween? Any fun activities there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we went around the neighborhood.
Yes.
Got to connect with the community a little bit, which I think is probably the best part of Halloween, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And you won't see these people probably for another year.
Nope.
But it's always good just to show face and go, oh, hey, we're just down that way. And I don't know how many people are actual neighbors while you're walking, but I imagine some friends come in from outside of the neighborhood, but it's still kind of nice just to see everybody come together.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but we had a great time.
It was a fun time. We've trick or treated together
Yes, we
the
did.
past quite a few years now. So it's always a nice night, and it was very warm this year. So
Yeah.
that was awesome.
It
The only
was.
downfall was there's always one house that has a cooler for the adults,
Yes,
full of adult beverages, and they did not have it this year.
it was not there, unless it was hidden.
No, I looked.
Yeah,
Yeah, because I was aiming for that,
I was.
and
It was
It
upsetting.
was disappointing. So I think this is probably the final year that we're going to trick or treat.
I can't be let down again like that. My heart won't let it.
Right. But no, I mean, hopefully next year. Fingers crossed for next year.
Adult.
But I mean, regardless, I did make an adult beverage to take along before, so
Yes.
I was not without
that
my
hill.
spirits.
That hill gets you.
Oh, that yeah. Luckily,
a steep hill.
that's right off the bat.
Yes.
We
Just
go
a
that
steep hill
route,
right
yeah.
there, and then you're all good
Right.
after that.
Yeah, it's all downhill from there. That's it.
Yes, that's right.
Literally
downhill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
like a roller coaster.
Which it is a nice route.
Oh, it is.
It's it's very it's not
It's
long,
like-
it's not short,
Right,
it's
it's like
just
the-
right.
Yep, perfect length.
Yes.
The kids aren't like crazy tired.
Nope.
No one's asking to be held for the rest of the walk home or anything
Nope.
like that. So
Yeah.
it's a good route.
I know, but I was looking forward to that one house.
I know, right?
It's like, yes, they know what's up.
Yeah,
They
I'm gonna
know.
have to like hit them up prior next year
yeah,
and be like,
"We're-
hey, are you gonna put
just
that
stash
out?
it out there.
or
What's up?
What's yeah?
Can I have a map? You
Right.
know, like X marks the spot.
get a
and we can just
menu?
yeah.
You taking orders? I'll give you a couple bucks.
I wonder if he got in trouble, or
No,
does
there's-
someone said, some people suck.
Wow, there's some people that suck, yeah. But I mean, it's clearly for adults. They have cameras on it, so I mean, I feel like maybe they were just out of town this year. Maybe
well,
they
they had
moved.
candy out there.
Wow.
There was a. It's
I
like
don't know, man.
they're trying to be social, but they're antisocial.
Yes.
Because it's like we don't want to talk to anybody,
Yeah.
but we want you to have this for
treats.
Halloween. We want
Take
you to
some
have
treats.
Don't TP
Well,
my
yeah.
house.
Yeah. Right. Well, I guess this year they're just like fuck the adults.
Oh, we should have TP'd it.
You think
That's
so?
the rules.
It's not. Yeah.
Tricked. Get tricked.
Get tricked. So as far as news this week, I've got little to none. Not much in the way of news. Usually after Halloween, movie news kind of takes a nosedive for a bit. The only thing that I have really is another Steel City Con announcement. So last week I said Sam Raimi is going to be there. This week it was announced that his brother Ted Raimi is also going to be there. And of course, he plays Henrietta, the Deadite in the basement in Evil Dead 2. So we're one step closer to Bruce Campbell being there. Fingers crossed he shows up and is announced in the next month or so, because that would be amazing and my life will be fulfilled. So other than that, that's all I got for pre-main topic news. Anything. So we'll just jump right into it.
What's your favorite Bruce Campbell saying?
Groovy.
Groovy?
Yep.
Oh, mine was,
Groovy.
this is my boomstick.
Oh, I mean, there's a lot of good ones,
That's so
but
good.
probably Groovy's my favorite. I do enjoy that one.
Yeah.
Where are we at here? There we go. So tonight, so right off the bat, prior to your right before show research, were you aware that the Texas Chain Saw Massacre, Psycho, and the Silence of the Lambs took inspiration from a certain fella? Alexa's talking out there. Huh.
Is that Alexa?
That's Alexa. Yeah, she probably heard me say news. Now she's giving the news. So there's that.
She's going to give you all the...
She's giving me all the
The
news, the whole
deets.
rundown.
Yeah.
She's like, you don't have news. I have news.
I got all the news. But I did hear about this inspiration that, that people got from him for those shows.
There
I
we
did.
go.
Yeah, right before the show.
So tonight we're going to talk about Ed Gein. So the Texas Chain Saw Massacre for years has been said that it's a true story based on a true story, all that sort of stuff. And we're here to set the record straight that it is not a true story. It is very loosely based on some true things, but as far as the movie itself, not based on a true story. But we're going to get into it here, and we're going to talk about Ed Gein. So, Edward Theodore Gein, also known as the Butcher of Plainfield, or the Plainfield Ghoul, was an American murderer, suspected serial killer, and body snatcher. Gein's crimes, committed around his hometown of Plainfield, Wisconsin, gathered widespread notoriety in 1957 after authorities discovered that he had exhumed corpses from local graveyards and fashioned keepsakes from their bones and skin. He also confessed to killing 2 women, tavern owner Mary Hogan in 1954 and hardware store owner Bernice Warden in 1957. Gein was initially found unfit to stand trial and confined to a mental health facility.
Is that when he killed those girls, or is that when he was committed, or found guilty of those?
That was when they found their bodies, or that's when they disappeared.
So that was 2 years or so. He was 52 years old at that point in time.
Roughly. So 1906 to 1954.
40.
I think he was in his 40s.
49 or something. Close to 50.
Yeah.
So you think about that for a moment. It took those allegedly, this guy had exhumed all these bodies because that was his fetish, I guess. And it took him almost 50 years of getting maybe bored of that, or it wasn't enough to then jump into actually murdering somebody. And I wonder if, whatever demons he was going through there, if there was something to that.
Well, those are the 2 that he for sure.
So there were probably
killed.
others.
There are quite a few others that he is suspected of.
Okay.
So we'll see here. And there's a lot of stuff that led up to him doing these things.
Okay. Yeah, there's 4 points I want to make about why he had
4 points.
Yep, 4
bullet points. Let's get it.
Yeah.
So Gein was initially found unfit to stand trial, confined to a mental health facility. By 1968, he was judged competent to stand trial. He was found guilty of the murder of Warden, but he was found legally insane and was remanded to a psychiatric institution. Gein died at Mendota Mental Health Institute from respiratory failure resulting from lung cancer on July 26, 1984, aged 77. He is buried next to his family in the Plainfield Cemetery in a now unmarked grave. I want to say unmasked grave, but that's not it.
Okay, well, wait a minute.
Hold up.
Unmarked.
Yes.
But they could probably pinpoint that grave.
Yeah, I'm sure someone has a record of it somewhere.
Yeah.
Someone. Not us, though.
I wonder if it
not
was...
us measly people.
It's probably in somebody's basement now. They probably examined his
backyard.
skeleton and yeah.
Oh yeah. He might be in a museum somewhere.
Probably.
He's John Doe, but really he's Ed Gein. Ed Gein. So his childhood, early life. Edward Theodore Gein was born in La Crosse, Wisconsin on August 27th, 1906. The second of 2 boys of George Philip Gein and Augusta Wilhelmine Gein. Gein had an elder brother named Henry. Augusta, who was fervently religious and nominally Lutheran, frequently preached to her sons about the innate immorality of the world, the evil of drinking, and her belief that all women, apart from herself, were naturally promiscuous and instruments of the devil. So there's that. So
isn't religion fun?
Oh yeah. It's a great thing.
I think some people need it, but some people take it a little, I don't know, too extreme.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll say that.
Yeah. It's not a terrible thing when used accordingly.
Yeah.
Within reason.
Yeah.
But if you take it to the extreme, just like, most other things.
Like Wilhelmine?
Yeah, it could be pretty fucked up. And
she got by without murdering anybody.
That we know of.
Oh, yeah. Allegedly.
Allegedly,
not
right?
murdering somebody.
Allegedly. But yeah, when it comes to religion, most people are either not religious or take it to extremes. So there's that. So she reserved time every afternoon to read them from the Bible, usually selecting verses from the Old Testament and the book of Revelation concerning death, murder, and divine retribution. Augusta hated her husband, an alcoholic who was unable to keep a job. He had worked at various times as a carpenter, tanner, and insurance salesman. During his time in La Crosse, Gein's father owned a local grocery shop, but he soon sold the business and left the city with his family to live in isolation on a 155-acre farm in the town of Plainfield, Wisconsin.
Wait, who's Augusta?
His mother?
Oh, I thought her name was Wilhelmine.
Um,
Wilhelmine is who?
That's her middle name.
Oh, Jesus.
Augusta
Okay.
Wilhelmine.
Sorry. All right.
Yes.
Augusta.
middle name.
Got it.
Same person.
Same person.
Same person. Wilhelmine was the murderer. Augusta was the mother. I'm kidding. Allegedly.
A little
Allegedly.
Jekyll and Hyde. Okay.
Right?
Gotcha.
So
I think
they
she's
moved.
just Jekyll and Jekyll.
Jekyll and Jekyll, maybe. So they moved to Plainfield, Wisconsin. Augusta took advantage of the farm's isolation by turning away outsiders who could have influenced her sons.
Mm-hmm.
A little fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
So Gein left the farm only to attend school. Outside of school, he spent most of his time doing chores on the farm. Gein was shy, and classmates and teachers remembered him as having strange mannerisms, such as seemingly random laughter, as if he were laughing at his own personal jokes. To make matters worse, Augusta punished him whenever he tried to make friends. Despite his poor social development, Gein did fairly well in school, particularly in reading. So my question is, what did she expect? Like, what was her end game in this? Like, all women are bad, except for me. Don't have friends.
Yeah, except for me.
Yeah.
Well, that's one of the points on here.
Is that the point?
That's one of the 4
Okay.
motivational reasons.
Motivation.
He's just getting so motivated right now.
Yeah, like I said, there's a lot that led up to the insanity that is the Ed Gein story.
So we're saying, basically what we're saying is, in situations like this where you have an overbearing mother or parent, I'll just say overbearing parent.
Could be the one.
What, you're likely to become a serial killer?
No.
You think he would have became a serial killer regardless of the parenting?
It's all in what's the phrase? Whether like you're born into it or you're I forget what the actual phrase is.
Oh.
Can't think of it. But that one.
Okay.
Nature versus nurture.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's all in. He may have still become a killer. Would he be?
It's hard to say. I don't know.
Less
I don't know if
likely to. Yeah, that's.
I don't know if he would have. And he still would have maybe had awkwardness as a child, socially.
Right.
But yeah, the just spoon-fed religion, women are all bad situation, I don't think helped.
No, not at all.
I don't think it helped.
Not at all.
Yeah.
To not be allowed to have friends, to be taught at a young age of things from the Bible, and women are bad. And
if she didn't like that, why did she let him go to school? Why didn't she homeschool?
That's a good question.
I would think that if she's that controlling, maybe.
You would think. I mean, I think in most cases, that's usually what happens.
In 1906, well, this would have been 1912 or something.
Yeah, around there.
I don't know. What is schooling like in 1912?
One room
Right?
schoolhouse.
In this what La Crosse? La Crosse, Wisconsin?
La Crosse / Plainsfield. Yep.
I don't know. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see the area at that time and be like, okay, so the school was this size.
Right.
The community was this made up of like whatever, freaking farmers and sheep herder. I don't know. Making cheese. I don't know.
Cheesemakers.
Cheesemakers.
There we go.
Yeah.
Farmers and cheesemakers.
Yeah, probably.
But yeah, hello.
Kim, settled.
But no, I think I feel like if he had been raised in a loving, or at least gave somewhat of a shit about them type household,
He would have been a super serial. He would have
super serial.
He'd be super.
No,
serial.
I feel like he may not have went the route he did.
Probably not. Probably not.
But we'll see. We'll get
He
a
might
little
have been-
bit more insight into it here.
He might have been a serial lover.
He might have been a serial lover.
Oh my God. You can't go to jail for that, can you?
I don't know. I don't know what all a serial lover entails, but
I don't know. If you can, then just take me now.
take me now because I love
Serially love everybody.
Guilty.
Guilty.
So on April 1st, 1940. So he was what? He was born in 1906.
Yeah, it's like 34, right?
34 years old. Gein's father died of heart failure caused by his alcoholism at age 66.
I bet it was whiskey.
It might have been whiskey.
I bet it was.
Probably was. I feel like that was the drink of choice in the early 1900s
Yeah,
to the 1940s.
I think so.
Once
Sounds
you
right.
start, you can't stop.
I guess must have been something in that, whatever in that, and at that, because I don't really enjoy like they did, and I don't know why. Like, what makes it so good that they have to have it all the time?
I guess that's just, I don't know.
Maybe
It's
because
just-
she was so damn overbearing.
well,
He's like chug a
yeah.
lug.
I mean, she hated him, so I'm sure she wasn't a treat to be around. But yeah, I mean, that's just alcoholism, I guess.
Yeah, that's
we're,
true.
We're not alcoholics, so our brains don't function that way.
Maybe they don't really like the taste of it, but they like the effects of it.
Yeah, I don't know. I
Huh.
mean, it's not like there's old people that can crush, a whole 36 pack of beer, and I'm like, give me like 4 or 5, maybe 6 on a good day, and
Yeah. I get all bloated. I can't.
Yeah.
It's not,
it's just
not great.
I enjoy drinking, but in moderation. But again, not alcoholic, so my brain isn't wired that way. So
Exactly. It's the
it just
day after.
is what it is.
Yep.
So Gein's father, he gone. So Ed
Mhm.
and his brother Henry began doing odd jobs around the town to help cover living expenses. The brothers were generally considered reliable and honest by the rest of the community. While both worked as handymen, Ed also frequently babysat for neighbors.
Oh,
How about
boy.
that?
That's-
36-year-old Ed. At that time, he was probably just the nice guy down the street. He'll watch your kids for you.
I don't
he
even
and-
want to know what happened to those kids.
He enjoyed babysitting, seeming to relate more easily to children than adults.
Okay.
Henry began dating a divorced mother of 2 and planned to move in with her. He worried about his brother's attachment to their mother and often spoke ill of her around Ed, who responded with shock and hurt. So the whole upbringing and up to this point and a little bit further is very, like, you can definitely tell it's Psycho. That's the
Mhm.
inspiration they took for Psycho. So on May 16th, 1944, Ed was burning away marsh vegetation on the property. The fire got out of control, drawing the attention of the local fire department. By the end of the day, the fire having been extinguished and the firefighters gone, Ed reported his brother missing. Dun, dun, dun.
Mm.
With lanterns and flashlights, a search party searched for 43-year-old Henry, whose dead body was found lying face down. Apparently, he had been dead for some time, and it appeared that the cause of death was heart failure since he had not been burned or injured otherwise. It was later reported by biographer Harold Schechter that Henry had bruises on his head. Police dismissed the possibility of foul play, and the county coroner later officially listed asphyxiation as the cause of death. The authorities accepted the accident theory, but no official investigation was conducted and an autopsy was never performed. Questioning Gein about the death of Bernice Worden in 1957, state investigator Joe Wilmowski brought up questions about Henry's death. George Arndt, who studied the case, wrote that, in retrospect, it was, quote, possible and likely that Henry's death was the, quote, Cain and Abel aspect of this case. With Henry deceased, Gein and Augusta were now alone. Augusta had a paralyzing stroke shortly after Henry's death, and Gein devoted himself to taking care of her. Sometime in 1945, he later recounted, he and his mother visited a man named Smith, who lived nearby, to purchase straw. According to Gein, Augusta witnessed Smith beating a dog. A woman inside the Smith residence came outside and yelled for him to stop, but Smith beat the dog to death. Augusta was extremely upset by this scene. However, what bothered her did not appear to be the brutality toward the dog, but rather the presence of the woman. Augusta told Ed that the woman was not married to Smith and so had no business being there, and angrily called her, quote, Smith's harlot. She had a second stroke soon after, and her health deteriorated rapidly. Augusta died on December 29th, 1945, at the age of 67. Ed was devastated by her death. In the words of Schechter, he had, quote, lost his only friend and the one true love. He was absolutely alone in the world. So,
Have you ever felt alone?
I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
I have.
Okay.
I've had moments, yeah.
I'm just trying to relate. You know what I mean? Have I ever felt truly alone? I can't say for sure. I don't think.
I mean, not like, I mean, I've always had friends.
And maybe that's, I don't know if Ed had any. Like I don't think he did.
I mean, up to his mom's death, I think
That's it.
you know, regardless of how old he was, I think she still kept the kind of same rules and like.
But did you think that he was thinking that his mom would live forever or something?
I mean, possibly. I mean, he probably like knew that she wasn't going to,
Right.
but at the same time, like how they like he babysat the kids, he like related to them. So it's one of those things like she had such a hold over him that he, regardless of how old he got, I don't think he ever really matured or ever like saw himself as an adult. He was just always one of the kids. And I think that's why he, whatever, had babysitting jobs and was probably, good with kids in that aspect.
None of his alleged murders were kids.
Were
they?
There's a few I think that they may have been. There's a list down here. I didn't look at all of them beforehand, but
some are probably.
As far as like little kids, I don't think so. I think it was more like teenagers, if anything. But
I don't think it makes any better.
I mean, no, it's not. It's not good either way. But I don't think he was babysitting teenagers.
No,
to answer your question.
Okay,
but we'll find out here in a bit.
All right.
See what it says. But yeah, so she dies. Ed allegedly, maybe, perhaps, took out his brother. And
yeah, that's interesting. The whole Cain and Abel.
Yeah, and Ed all on his own. So what will he do? So on the morning of November 16th, 1957, 58-year-old Plainfield hardware store owner Bernice Worden disappeared. The hardware store's truck was seen driving out from the rear of the building at around 9:30 a.m. The hardware store saw a few customers the entire day. Some area residents believed this was because of deer hunting season. Worden's son, Deputy Sheriff Frank Worden, entered the store around 5 p.m. to find the cash register open and bloodstains on the floor. So Frank Worden told investigators that on the evening before his mother's disappearance, Gein had been in the store and was to have returned the next morning for a gallon of antifreeze. A sales slip for the antifreeze was the last receipt written by Worden on the morning that she disappeared. That evening, Gein was arrested at a West Plainfield grocery store, and the Waushara County Sheriff's Department searched the Gein farm.
Wait, how did it jump to Gein already? How did that happen?
What do you mean?
Something about a receipt from Worden.
So Worden,
Bernice
Worden is the store owner.
Okay,
she's the one that disappeared.
Yes.
Ed Gein was the last customer in the store.
Okay.
So she disappears. So they, go.
You're the last person. You're arrested.
I mean, there's probably more details than that.
Okay.
But I mean, that would be like that would be your main suspect, right? If no one else saw anyone, and they knew, her son had seen Ed Gein in the store the night before, and he said he was going to come back in the morning for a gallon of antifreeze, and then your mom disappears, you go check the store, and there's a receipt for the antifreeze. That's like your prime suspect. So they go question him, whatnot. And
I would say, yeah, you can question. I don't think you arrest him.
Well, In this case, I guess, I don't know, they arrested him.
Maybe they questioned him and they were like, yeah, this guy fucking, he's crazy. He did it. But that could also go badly too.
Well, yeah.
You know what I mean?
We might find out now. We'll see.
All right.
We'll see.
Let's see what did they find. I'm locked in.
So this is where we get into the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh, okay.
So everyone always thinks of Leatherface and wearing the skin and the skin mask, which is part of Ed Gein. But the main inspiration that they took from him for the movie was the house. So if you recall, in the house, there's bones everywhere. There's chairs made out of skeletons and bones and skin. And
in the basement or something, right?
it's kind of all through the house.
Is it?
Yeah.
I'll have to look closer next time.
Yep. So that's where this comes in. And it gets a little gnarly.
Okay.
Just a little warning out there if you're listening.
Spoilers.
And yeah, if you're listening and some graphic details may disturb you, so here's your warning. But a sheriff's deputy discovered Warden's decapitated body in a shed on Gein's property, hung upside down by her legs with a crossbar at her ankles and ropes at her wrists. The torso was, quote, dressed out like a deer. She had been shot with a .22 caliber rifle, and the mutations were made after her death. Searching the house, authorities found... Dun, dun, dun.
Mm-hmm.
Whole human bones and fragments. A wastebasket made of human skin.
Ugh.
Human skin covering several chairs. Skulls on his bedpost. Female skulls, some with the tops sewn off. Bowls made from human skulls. A corset made from a female torso, skinned from shoulders to waist. Leggings made from human leg skin. Mask made from the skin of female heads. Mary Hogan's face mask in a paper bag. Mary Hogan's skull in a box. I'm sure you're going to ask, who's Mary Hogan? We will.
Yeah,
we will. They kind of did it backwards, but we'll get to
Mary.
That's the other confirmed kill.
Okay.
So we'll get to her story here in a bit.
Okay.
Bernice Warden's entire head in a burlap sack. Bernice Warden's heart in a plastic bag in front of Gein's potbelly stove. 9 vulva in a shoebox, a young girl's dress, and the, quote, vulvas of 2 females judged to have been about 15 years old. A belt made from female human nipples, a nipple belt, 4 noses, a pair of lips on a window shade drawstring. Right? So I read that earlier and I was like, I had to think about it and be like, oh, it was literally like the string you pulled to turn on the lamp. Yeah, it was a pair of lips. So that's something.
That's something.
A lampshade made from the skin of a human face and fingernails from female fingers. So that's all. That's just what they found in the house. Oh, so yeah, right. Not for the faint of heart, for sure. So these artifacts were photographed at the state crime laboratory and then decently disposed of. When questioned, Gein told investigators that between 1947 and 1952, he had made as many as 40 nocturnal visits to 3 local graveyards to exhume recently buried bodies while he was in a, quote, daze-like state. On about 30 of those visits, he said that he came out of the daze while in the cemetery, left the grave in good order, and returned home empty-handed. On the other occasions, he dug up the graves of recently buried middle-aged women he thought resembled his mother and took the bodies home, where he tanned their skins to make his paraphernalia. So Gein admitted to stealing from 9 graves and led investigators to their locations. Alan Wilmofsky of the State Crime Laboratory participated in opening 3 test graves identified by Gein. The caskets were inside wooden boxes. The top boards ran crossways, not lengthwise. The tops of the boxes were about 2 feet below the surface in sandy soil. Gein had robbed the graves soon after the funerals while the graves were not completed. The test graves were exhumed because authorities were uncertain as to whether the slight Gein was capable of single-handedly digging up a grave during a single evening. They were found as Gein described. 1 casket was empty, another casket contained Gein's crowbar, and the final casket saw most of the body missing. Yet Gein had returned rings and some body parts. Thus, Gein's confession was largely corroborated. How about that?
Well, how do you say, oh, that's not mine?
Yeah, right.
No,
I never saw
that's
that.
not the nipple belt is.
The nipple belt.
That's mine.
right.
Like what? Ugh.
Yeah, I mean, there was no denying it. I mean, he told him where to find it, so.
Could you dig a grave in a night?
And
I mean, we're talking 6 foot deep, fucking grave.
Yeah, I mean, in the
It's
movies
loose
they make
dirt, I
it.
guess.
It looks so easy. It's like it's a matter of minutes. The grave is dug.
No.
But yeah, no, that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean,
I don't know, you got all night.
you do have all night.
In the 19 what? What did they say? 57?
Late 50 or 1947 and 1952.
Okay, so 1952-ish. I mean, it's pitch dark. I don't think there's like any lights per se out there. So he's probably using. I don't know if he's using any light.
Using the moonlight.
He's using the moonlight.
Yeah, that's a lot of work.
Yeah,
that's a lot of work for little reward.
I don't think to him. I think to him,
well,
it was
to
a lot
him,
of
yeah.
reward.
But yeah, no, I mean, I don't would hope I wouldn't have any reason to ever dig up a grave. But
and how do you get news of somebody? Like again, here's a small community. Probably you just get news.
I mean, obituaries.
I guess.
I mean, like local papers are still like that's a big thing back then.
And
so,
probably a lot back then would be buried, as
right.
opposed to like cremated.
Yeah,
I don't know. What are the stats on that? I wonder.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it happens more often now as far as cremation. Back then, probably just threw you in a box, threw you in the ground.
Yeah.
I don't know if they at that point too if they went 6 feet deep, so it might have been a little shallower of graves. Because I mean, they didn't pour concrete and whatever they do now.
Well, look at the Hurricane Katrina incident in Louisiana.
Yeah.
All
all
those coffins rising up. Right. Oh my God.
So yeah, it was probably not nearly the work it would be to do these days, but still.
Yeah. And then he has to haul the body.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like these are heavy. One person he didn't look all that big.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know his stats, but yeah, the weight. I mean, he looks like a kind of fragile old man.
Yeah,
really.
I mean, he's in his what would we say, late 40s? What that time?
Late 40s, probably between 1947 and 1952. So yeah, 40s.
Yeah, I don't know. People were built differently back then.
Yeah, all that.
I think
that farm labor,
farming, and well, he wasn't farming. I don't think he said it was babysitting.
Yeah, I mean, but they did chores around the farm.
I suppose
they had 50 some acres, so
yeah,
he was putting in that work.
Mm-hmm.
But soon after his mother's death, Gein began to create a quote woman suit so that he quote could become his mother, to literally crawl into her skin.
Why didn't he do this to his mother then? You don't think he could? Because I don't know. Why wouldn't he?
I was thinking that he did keep her around, but I don't see that in here. So I'm not sure. But yeah, I mean that was his that, like I said, it was literally psycho minus him keeping her body around. But yeah, he was digging up graves, kind of putting together a Leatherface-esque suit to wear to quote be his mother.
Okay.
So yeah, it's a very, very good mashup of Leatherface and Norma Bates and Buffalo Bill. Really, it's where they all got the inspiration. So it was all from this shit. Let's see here.
Crazy cupcakes.
So he denied having sex with the bodies, he exhumed, explaining, quote, they smelled too bad. So he has all this other shit sitting around his house. That didn't smell too bad. But he was like, I'm not going that far.
No.
Good on him.
Sure.
During state crime laboratory interrogation, Gein also admitted to shooting 51-year-old Mary Hogan, a tavern owner missing since December 8th, 1954, whose head was found in his house, but he later denied memory of details of her death. So yeah, the ones that they know for sure, the two women, he shot with shotguns. So there was no
Wait,
chainsaw.
no. The other one was a 22.
Oh, I'm sorry. He shot them though.
Okay, yeah.
So there was no chainsaw, is what my point was. So the whole Leatherface was real. Not quite.
No.
Not quite. The aftermath, sure, but yeah, there was no Leatherface wearing masks going around chainsawing people. Sorry to break it to you kids, but
the house.
Happen. But the house of horrors, though,
yeah.
that seemed to be a thing. So a 16-year-old youth whose parents were friends of Gein and who attended baseball games and movies with him reported that Gein kept shrunken heads in his house, which he had described as relics sent by a cousin who had served in the Philippines during World War II. Upon investigation by the police, these were determined to be human facial skins carefully peeled from corpses and used by Gein as masks.
Did you ever skin something?
I have not.
Like a
Yeah, I've never
field dressed or skinned a deer or something.
No, I've never been a hunting fella.
I can't imagine. I don't know. I don't know what it would feel like or what it would. I mean, some doctors out there probably like, yeah, it's not easy.
Oh yeah, I'm sure
to do.
Yeah,
and you have to have a very careful hand.
Mm-hmm.
And I think doing it on a deer is a lot different than doing it on a person. You know what I mean? It's not like we have a line of hide between our skin. You know what I'm saying? It just fascinates me. This guy could have probably been a surgeon or something. You know what I mean? All the shit that he was doing, but obviously not. You know what I mean? Because he's mentally ill.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I mean, I don't know.
But if he wanted to become his mom, that was what quote, right? He said, quote, I wanted to become my mom.
Apparently so, yes.
Why not take his mom's face or something off or whatever?
Yeah, I don't know.
It just baffles me. Like,
it's not, to my knowledge, it's not something that shows up in this information. And
I bet somebody asked him that at some point, and I'm wondering if he's like, well, I couldn't do that. It's my mom. Like, well,
yeah, I mean, I bet that's probably, unless she was cremated. Maybe she was the one.
Oh, maybe she was cremated.
That was her.
And how does he feel about taking all these other potential mothers away from other, you know what I mean? Like, if he can't do it to his own mom,
right?
That's part of the mental illness, right? Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Parenting. Some people suck.
Right? Absolutely, yeah. Shitty parents and religion.
Right?
What are the odds?
What are they?
So during questioning, Sheriff Art Schley reportedly assaulted Gein by banging his head and face into a brick wall.
Oh, good times.
Yeah, right? As a result, Gein's initial confession was ruled inadmissible. Schley died of heart failure in 1968 at age 43 before Gein's trial. Many who know Schley said he was traumatized by the horror of Gein's crimes, and this, along with the fear of having to testify, especially about assaulting Gein, caused his death. One of his friends said, quote, he was a victim of Ed Gein as surely as if he had butchered him. Which I'm like,
I don't think.
You gotta have some control, bud.
Yeah, you're a person of authority.
Yeah.
And
you can't be Batman up in here and he's Joker bashing his face off shit.
Yeah, this is probably why interrogations have gone differently now.
Yeah.
I would hope.
Yeah.
Unless you're a terrorist, then it doesn't go so well.
Yeah.
I think.
As it shouldn't.
I don't know for sure,
but yeah. So, I mean, according to this article, this dude's not any relation to any victims. And I mean, if that was the case, then yeah, I could definitely understand it. Like, if someone did that to one,
but
one
then
of my family members,
he should not have been in that room. Period.
Absolutely. But yeah, so it's just seemed to be a pissed off sheriff that saw the sights of the house and got mad, saw red, and beat up old Ed.
But now he's not admissible. Now it's not, and now so he didn't do anybody anything, and you know better. You know this,
right? Absolutely. So yeah, that dude fucked up, and Ed's initial confession was ruled inadmissible, and then the dude died from one of, I'm sure, many things, but with the fear of having to testify about what he did. to this dude. Yeah, got you nowhere, bud.
Nowhere.
Nowhere.
Way to go. Way to be profesh.
Yeah. You done fucked up.
I don't know. The line of sight on that to me would have been, yeah, he did a lot of horrible things. And I guess if you're not there, if
Mhm.
you didn't see what they saw, and maybe it's totally different. And the families, right? Telling them where their deceased people,
Mhm.
family members are and how they were dismembered. And, it's just horrifying. It is very gruesome. And then go into this room and interrogate this guy and bash this. Like, to me, it doesn't make sense. The goal is to get this guy put away.
Mhm.
And I don't want anything to affect that.
Right.
So I want it to be very, like, we have them dead to rights. We have them. All you have to do is just lay the facts out.
Mm-hmm. He couldn't do it.
It's like the facts aren't bashing his head into the wall.
No.
You can't find the facts inside his skull.
And that's the thing. I mean, if just beating him up a little bit, like, you either got to do it the full way or don't touch him at all.
I wonder if he did this before to somebody else.
Probably.
And got away with it.
He's probably good cop, bad cop. He was a bad cop.
Probably.
But yeah, I mean, sure.
A little police brutality.
Days, yeah, crooked cops. All that stuff. All that jazz.
Well, he died of what, a heart attack, he said? Some sort of
Heart failure at age 43.
I just don't see, like, oh, Ed's responsible for his, like, I don't know. He probably had like a lot of cholesterol problems. He probably had health issues.
Right.
None of which were probably conducive to being.
If I had to guess, he's probably a heavy drinker.
Probably. I don't know. I'm speculating,
right.
obviously.
Well, yeah,
but
it's speculation.
I certainly don't see how you could fault Ed for killing this guy.
There's plenty of terrible things that he did that we know for a fact he did.
Right.
To say that because this dude.
Well, Ed was detained, right? He was detained throughout.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way I read that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So clearly he didn't like escape the prison. Go to this dude's house and like scare him to death or something.
No.
Okay.
No, once he was locked up, I think that was pretty much it.
All right.
But yeah, it was just, he banged his head and face into a brick wall, and the initial confession was ruled inadmissible. But I mean, he was still locked up regardless. He was still going to trial and all that.
That's the other thing, like the initial
mm-hmm.
right, admission.
Mm-hmm.
So he admitted it, and then you bash his head in. What the hell?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Come on.
There's really no good explanation for
He's
why
probably
he
like,
did it.
Oh, he admitted it. Let's fucking beat him up.
Yeah. This dude's a piece of shit, so I'm
doing everybody a favor.
I'm gonna show my weight and see how tough I am.
Ridiculous.
And then it came to bite him in the ass, and then he died of heart failure at 43. So
that's awful.
It
sucks. I didn't want him. I obviously don't want him to die. I didn't want him. Obviously, but he clearly went off the deep end on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As I say, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. So here's the suspected, little suspicious.
Sus. Okay.
In addition to the murders of Hogan and Warden, Gein was also considered a suspect in several other unsolved cases in Wisconsin. In November 1957, authorities confronted Gein with a list of missing persons cases that had occurred between the death of his mother and Warden. Their suspicions were further aroused after the discovery of Hogan's remains. However, lie detector tests seemingly exonerated Gein of any other murders.
Nope.
And his psychiatrist concluded that his violence was only directed to women who physically resembled his mother. But, I mean...
Did they?
They were like in their 50s, I believe.
Well,
roughly.
He's saying they look like Ed Gein saying they look like my mom, but like to you and I with a different eye, I guess.
Right.
Did they look?
You know what? Let's. There may be pictures. We'll see here. Let's see.
And you could be like, oh, your nose looks like my mom's.
I don't know. There's no picture of Augusta So we don't have a reference picture for Augusta.
The pictures back then,
At least not
popular.
in here in this article.
No.
So it's hard to say. That would they'll do a little bit more research that we'd have to do outside the podcast.
That's fine. But it's curious, as Heath says, yeah, that looks
right
similar. I don't know, about 10%
right
equivalency.
Yeah,
that means you're pretty much the same.
Small town. Like, you gotta take what you can.
Yeah, you gotta it's about 50-50.
Yeah,
I'll make it work.
Like roughly the same age.
Put some like Botox in there a little bit, puff it up, and then shave it down.
Sometimes you puff it up, shave it down.
Shave it down, puff it up.
Yeah, I don't know. I would assume they weren't a split image of his mother. They were probably just roughly the same age, maybe kind of similar builds, and that was it. That was enough.
That was it.
So these are the suspected. So this first one was a child. So Georgia Jean Weckler, age 8, disappeared near her farm home in Fort Atkinson at approximately 3:30 p.m. on May 1st, 1947. She was given a lift home from grade school in Jefferson by a neighbor who dropped Weckler off at the lane that led from U.S. Highway 12 to the Weckler farm. Weckler was last seen pausing to open the family mailbox and removing a stack of mail. She was never seen again. Witnesses reported seeing a dark-colored, possibly black, 1936 Ford sedan with a gray plastic spotlight in the vicinity that afternoon. Gein owned a black 1937 Ford. So, I don't know. I mean, possible. Obviously possible. But also maybe a bit of a reach.
Yeah, how many 1937 Fords?
And, I mean, who knows if they actually...
That's true.
It may just be like, he did this other shit.
Mm-hmm.
So, by the way, he had this truck. I saw that truck when she disappeared. There's not enough evidence. There's not enough information in that one paragraph.
Yeah,
to say,
finding the fact, like the evidence needed,
right,
to follow through with that and actually say, yeah, this has to be you.
Right.
It's very like if it looks like a duck at the moment, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
But then you got to find the quack, and you got to find the walk.
True. Yeah.
Yeah.
The duck mannerisms.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the second one here is Evelyn Grace Hartley, age 15, went missing while babysitting a 20-month-old girl at the home of La Crosse State College professor Viggo Rasmussen on the evening of October 24th, 1953 in La Crosse. That evening, her father, Richard, called the Rasmussen house several times after she failed to check in as planned at 8:30 p.m. He received no answer. Concerned, he drove to the Rasmussen house to find the doors were locked, the lights and radio on, and items scattered all over the house. The living room furniture had been moved around to different places, as were Evelyn's school books. Richard found her shoes in different rooms, one shoe upstairs and one downstairs. He also found his daughter's broken glasses upstairs. Richard did not find Evelyn in the Rasmussen house at the time. However, he denied involvement in the disappearance and passed 2 lie detector tests. I think I skipped something there. So he didn't find Evelyn in the house. There we go. I did skip that. After his arrest, Gein was considered a suspect in Evelyn's disappearance, as he was visiting a relative a few blocks from the Rasmussen house at the time. However, he denied involvement in the disappearance and passed 2 lie detector tests. Police found no trace of Evelyn's remains during a search of Gein's property. So that's another thing, like with these kind of suspected ones. So far, these first 2, they didn't find any remains.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, in a house full of remains, and the 2 that he very clearly killed found remains, to not find these ones that just disappeared.
Well, I don't think he disposed of these.
No, I didn't. He seemed to be kind of a hoarder.
Yeah. Not like he was hiding it.
Right.
Per se,
Yeah.
in his house. Yeah. That's where he had it all.
Right, yeah.
That we know of.
Right.
How far away is this, like Georgina, right, the 8-year-old? How far away is that from where he lives?
Georgia was in Fort Atkinson, and Evelyn was in his former former residence of La Crosse when he was a child.
Okay.
Let's see.
What's a Fort Atkinson to
That's not
La
what I want.
Crosse? Fort Atkinson.
Let's Google it.
Yeah, I'm just.
The
It does. Yeah. Does the mileage work out? Like, does it jive?
what did I say it was? Fort
Atkinson.
Atkinson. We're gonna find out in real time. We're gonna find out
Yeah.
if I can type. That's what we're gonna find out. Fort Atkinson and La Crosse. Yeah, La Crosse. It's
2
about
hours.
2.5 hours distance via vehicle.
That's a stretch, man. That's a stretch.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally like La Crosse is up here and Fort Atkinson is all the way down here.
Unless they know that he was in that area at that time.
Right. And like I said, with Georgia, it was someone said they saw a truck that resembled his,
Ugh.
which may, again, may or may not be
It's hard to
true.
say. I don't want to.
And with Evelyn, he was in the area. He was apparently visiting a relative a few blocks from that house at the time.
Okay.
So, I mean, that is a little suspicious for sure. But again, they didn't find, I mean, he passed 2 lie detector tests, which, it's not a, seal the deal 100% accurate,
Mm-hmm.
but they also didn't find any remains of her on his property.
Of Evelyn. Or Georgina.
Oh, yeah,
obviously.
or
but
either one.
Evelyn one is more likely than I would say Georgina, unfortunately. I mean,
Right.
that one's only sus because they said someone saw his truck,
Mm-hmm.
allegedly.
Allegedly, yes.
Which, I don't, like, that just seems wild to me. 2 hours away, happens to come on to that particular place at that particular time. But also, how many, like, serial killers or murderers
Well, let's see.
are there in an area at any given time?
Because he's living in Plainfield during all this. So what's the distance? Let's see, between Plainsfield and La Crosse. That one, that's
Even longer.
4 hours, 18 minutes. Let's see. We'll do this. So, come on, if it wants to work here.
La Crosse to
Doesn't wanna work.
Plainsville? Or where are we going now?
Yeah, that was La Crosse to Plainsfield.
Okay.
This is Atkinson. 95 miles.
That's still even a little. I don't know. What's the range of a serial killer those days? 100 miles?
There
Would you
wasn't
say?
there wasn't a whole lot in those days. That's the kind of thing about it. I mean, I'm sure they were out there, but there's, at least to my recollection, there's not many in the 50s and 60s that are like well known. Like we get a lot in the 70s, 80s. But yeah, the 50s. Like I said, to my recollection, at least, there's probably someone listening that's like, "What the fuck, man?"
I just feel like 95 miles is a bit of a stretch to say. Could he have done that? I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely possible, but it's just weird that he would definitely admit to one, but not remember it later to the second one. Like he didn't. didn't
mental
hide it.
illness. I don't know. He probably. What the one guy said, he goes into a daze.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're pretty much like this other person, like
Mhm.
something took over your head, and then you come to all of a sudden. Like, I guess
That's kind of what
What
it
he's saying?
sounds like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of like an out of body experience minus the out of body.
yeah. It's like you're in
Like
your head
you're
still.
you're not seeing yourself outside your body,
Right.
but you're not there.
It's like you're
per
not even
se.
conscious. That part of you is not conscious. Conscience.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of how it like the people that get like just like fight and shit that like get so mad they just kind of black out.
Yeah, and bash people's heads into the wall
Well, yeah,
like that.
yeah, like that.
Seems to be going
Yeah, it
around in
seems
that
to be-
neighborhood.
yeah,
Yeah,
that era,
yeah.
lots of angry people.
Lots of angriness. I'd be angry too if you found some household in the neighborhood.
Oh yeah,
That did.
I mean,
that.
yeah, it definitely fuck you up, but
Mhm.
at the same time, when you're law enforcement, there's some things you gotta kind of hold back.
Right.
There's a time and place for everything, and that was not the time or the place. So the next one here is Victor Harold Travis, age 41, a resident of Adams County. He went off to hunt deer in the company of 43-year-old acquaintance Raymond Burgess, a resident of Milwaukee, on November 1st, 1950. In the late afternoon, the pair stopped for refreshments at Mac's Bar in Plainfield for several hours. At around 7 p.m., they both left the bar, got into Burgess's car, and drove away. The hunters, along with the car Burgess was driving, were never seen again, and no trace of them was ever found. Travis and Burgess had been hunting on the farm next to Gaines despite his objections on the day of their disappearance. Mm-hmm. So, I mean...
Well, they weren't women.
They weren't women, no.
I mean, that seems bizarre. Well, Henry was a guy,
Yeah.
so...
I mean, Henry, I'm 99% sure he definitely killed his brother.
Probably.
So I don't think... I mean, his forte... his victim of
His
choice
niche
was definitely
women.
women. This one, again, though, I mean, it doesn't say anything about them finding their remains. But yeah, I mean, they had an interaction or some sort of interaction. Obviously, they wanted to hunt near his land, and he wasn't happy about it. But again, I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say.
Mm-hmm.
It is hard to say. Like, you would just from that paragraph, you would think, well, yeah, there's definitely a big chance that he definitely took care of them. But again, at the same time, maybe not. Maybe he just didn't want him to hunt near his land, and that was the end of it. And then
But they weren't seen again.
disappeared themselves somewhere.
How did they know that these two people talked to Gein?
That's a good question.
Like
I don't know.
I feel like there might have been more to that particular
There's
event.
probably more to a lot of this.
Oh,
but
sure. Yeah.
At this point, like, I mean,
It's like these guys go hunting and then they're never found again.
yeah, just never seen.
They
again.
just went
They don't.
hunting.
Maybe it was alien abduction.
Yeah.
Dun dun dun.
Could have been an animal related
It could have been.
murder.
I mean, what were they doing? They stopped for refreshments at Mac's Bar. So they were drinking for several hours.
And
They
then went
left
hunting?
the bar. I don't no, I think they were hunting in the morning.
And then they went to the bar.
Yeah, in the late afternoon, the pair stopped for refreshments.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know. They were there for a few hours.
Did Ed frequent the bar?
It does not say. Not sure. Maybe he was there. Maybe he wasn't there. But they were never seen again, and no trace of them was ever found. So, hard to say. But yeah, I wish there was more information. And, if maybe there is, if we research it a little deeper.
Yeah.
But with that time period, of course, there's no internet, so there's not
Right.
as much information as,
Exactly.
there's not a whole lot of answers to a lot of our questions.
Yeah.
Because pretty much we get the details that they wrote about in the papers and
the papes.
the kind of police reports, which the police don't sound very detailed oriented. So
they're like, well, we didn't have a full investigation on that, or there wasn't an official investigation on this other thing.
The brother died face down in the field, but it was just from the fumes of the fire.
Yeah,
nothing
nothing
to worry about there. He gone.
Heart attack.
There you go.
Yeah. No. Yep.
There you go.
Come on.
Right? Damn it. Get with it.
Get with it. Like how many dead bodies do you find in a field back then? You're like, oh, this is totally normal.
Yeah.
What?
What's the number?
I don't know.
Like if it's more than 2, we might have something here.
Yes.
2 or less.
Yeah.
That's just a little smoke inhalation. Nothing to worry about.
What's this
Let's see. So, in addition,
Oh.
Gein has also been tentatively linked to the June 1954 disappearance of neighbor James Walsh, age 32. Walsh and his wife lived near Gein, who performed chores for her after her husband went missing. Gein was also investigated for potential involvement in the August 1956 disappearance of Irene Keating, age 30, who was last seen in Plainfield, and in the attempted abduction of Judy Rodenkall, age 16, from Auroraville. Again, that's all the information.
Wait, that was Gein's neighbor.
So
Literal
the neighbor,
neighbor.
yeah,
Missing.
husband, wife, neighbor, husband. How you going?
Oh, that
And so
screams wife to me.
So he Gein did some helped run the house, did some chores after the husband went MIA.
That
Could have been the wife.
I think normally, but you do have like a serial killer neighbor, so
Allegedly.
serial killer.
It
Wasn't allegedly. At least two people.
It's three or more. Yeah, it's three or more.
Oh, is it three or more? Oh, I'm sorry.
Which I think 99% sure the brother would
Henry,
make
yeah.
three, but allegedly.
All right. Well, he can't be a serial killer until we get the third one locked in.
But he did eat cereal out of human skulls, so we call him a serial killer.
I see what you did there.
Yep.
Is that true?
He had bowls made out of human skulls, so.
Oh, well, there you go. Was
Do
it
I-
cereal?
No, I mean, I can't confirm that it
Well,
was
then-
indeed cereal.
We're reaching.
But I mean,
Okay, we're reaching on that one.
if you're going to have human skulls as bowls, you're going to put some Frosted Flakes in there.
That's what you got to do.
I don't
Well,
know.
did they have? Yeah, they had Frosted Flakes back then.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if they were frosted, but they might have been
Flakes.
flakes.
Hold the frost, please.
Hold the frost.
So the aftermath here, the trial.
Oh boy.
Dun, dun, dun. On November 21st, 1957.
Go to hell.
You go right to hell. Gein was arraigned on one count of first-degree murder in Washara County Court, where he pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity. He was diagnosed with schizophrenia and found mentally incompetent, thus unfit for trial. He was sent to the Central State Hospital for the Criminally Insane, now the Dodge Correctional Institution, a maximum security facility and a Waupun, and later transferred to the Mendota State Hospital in Madison. In 1968, doctors determined Gein was, quote, mentally able to confer with counsel and participate in his defense. The trial began on November 7th, 1968, and lasted 1 week. A psychiatrist testified that Gein had told him that he did not know whether the killing of Warden was intentional or accidental. Gein had told him that while he examined a gun in Warden's store, the weapon discharged and killed Warden. He said he had not aimed the rifle at Warden and did not remember anything else that happened that morning. Nah.
Mm,
At the request of the defense, Gein's trial was held without a jury, with Judge Robert H. Gulmer presiding. Gein was found guilty by Gulmer on November 14th. A second trial date with Gein's sanity, after testimony by doctors for the prosecution and defense, Gulmer ruled Gein, quote, not guilty by reason of insanity and ordered him committed to Central State Hospital for the criminally insane. Gein spent the rest of his life in a mental hospital. Judge Gulmer wrote, quote, due to prohibitive costs, Gein was tried for only one murder, that of Mrs. Warden. He also admitted to killing Mary Hogan.
all right.
So yeah, they're like, they cost too much to have another trial.
Yeah.
Nah,
Nah.
the dude's insane. Send him away.
Go to hell.
You go right to hell. So yeah, there's a lot that he may have just killed two, maybe the brother, and that was it. All the others are just random occurrences, or he just so happened to be in that area, maybe. But he didn't, he may have been innocent there.
All the parts in his body obviously were of the two that he killed.
Right.
But
yeah, they definitely
also
found them, yeah.
but also from the dead bodies that he exhumed. There was probably more of those than obviously than the like numerous. Well, that's just it. How do they? Was they DNA test every like?
I doubt it.
Did they even have that back then? Like I don't even know. When did that start?
Oh, that's a good question too. Let's find out. When did DNA testing start in U.S.? 1986.
See, that's when he
So,
died.
yeah.
He died 2 years prior to that. So it's like they didn't have that technology back then. So that's why
Right.
maybe they didn't. But I'm sure they.
So maybe he did. But I mean, I don't know. But when this article was written, that maybe they have gone back and tested that
Mm-hmm.
to see who it was. But yeah, as far as I know, with all the information that I've learned over the years, I don't ever remember hearing any other victims being found. It was all corpses that he dug up, with the exception of the two that he clearly killed.
Yeah. Well, that one was hanging upside down, their head
Yeah.
decapitated.
Yeah, that's a gnarly picture.
Yeah.
That's a kind of callback to Terrifier
I haven't seen Terrifier.
we talked about before, but yeah, there's a scene in that's very similar to the image,
there.
the real life image of what Ed Gein did. Yeah. Yeah.
Terrible. Well, think the whatever blessing it was, but she was dead at the time.
Oh, yeah.
Allegedly.
Right.
Prior to any of that.
Yeah, I don't think I'm buying the whole I was just looking at the gun that went off story.
I don't think so. I mean,
I don't
you were there.
Right.
You had a gun. And even if it went off involuntarily,
mm-hmm.
you still would be like, what, second, I guess. What do they call that? Second
degree?
Second degree, thank you.
Yeah.
At best. You're right. I mean, but then you plead insanity and it's like, I don't know. It just feels like an easy way to say, oh, well.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Especially back then. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, before, like,
well,
not that I think the asylums and whatnot back then would be any better than prison. Because there was some fucking gnarly shit going on there too. But at the same time, yeah, I mean.
So I'm going to talk about there's 5 actually.
Oh.
5.
5 bullet points.
5 points of why we feel that, because we have to make sense of this somehow, right?
Yeah.
It's like the human mind can't wrap their head around this horrific, gruesome shit.
Yeah.
Unless we can understand this. So the first factor that gave Ed Gein motivation
mm-hmm.
was on his mental illness,
right?
Which was pretty clear. I mean, he even said,
mm-hmm.
which I don't take anything he says, with 100%. It's so mental illness, schizophrenia, which very likely played a role in his behavior, deviant fascination. So Gein had an intense fascination with the human body,
mm-hmm.
particularly with women, obviously.
Right.
The obsession led him to grave rob and create items from human remains. So that's the deviant fascination. That's the second motivation of why he did what he did. Isolation is another factor. Gein lived in a remote, kind of isolated area, often cut off from social interactions because his mom didn't.
Yeah, right.
Which was coming later.
Yeah.
And it exasperated his mental health. So because he had mental illness and being isolated, that just like gasoline and then a match, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like just let it on fire, exasperated it. Number 4, the influence of his mother. There it is.
Yeah.
Gein's mother was a domineering figure in his life, and he had a complex, unhealthy relationship with her, which we kind of mentioned earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And it also comes into play here of her strict religious beliefs, and the teachings may have contributed to his distorted view of women and the human body.
Mm-hmm.
So that, and lastly, is the childhood trauma. So his upbringing was marked by abuse, neglect, traumatic environment, all disturbing his psyche so with those factors, it definitely helps me put it a little, I don't know, kind of just box it up. You know what I mean? It's a lot of complicated mental health and behavioral upbringing
Mm-hmm.
that contributed to a lot of this. And I think just kind of understanding that maybe we can learn from it and realize that this happened. This
Oh, yeah.
happened because of those factors.
Absolutely, yeah.
Now he
And-
could have still done it without those factors. I guess. I don't know if it even possible that could have happened still. But maybe not. But maybe so.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, he may have been mentally disturbed, regardless.
Mm-hmm.
But the things he did, the way he went about things, I feel like are 100% because of his upbringing and what he went through and things he saw, and things he was taught as a child. So I mean, he could have had there's been serial killers and murderers that grew up in loving families and good good upbringings.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the end all be all, but yeah, having a mother that doesn't let you have friends, that teaches you from a very young age that all women are evil except for her.
Yeah.
It's very fucking dangerous,
Mm-hmm.
obviously. And there's a lot of serial killers, that famous ones that had that same kind of upbringing.
Same recipe.
Yeah.
It's the serial killer recipe.
Yeah, right?
How to make a
So-
serial killer. Here you go.
So yeah, I feel like his fascination with the female body, like the nipple belt and the multiple,
Lips on the blinds.
yeah, and the multiple, what did it say, like vulvas in a jar or whatever,
Oh,
was his, like, I don't know if you've experienced this, but like I did growing up in a super religious household,
Mhm.
was if you're not allowed to do something, you typically will find a way to do something.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. So, that happens a lot, in many cases, many different things. But yeah, I feel like her kind of hammering this thought into his head that women are evil. You can't, you can't talk to ladies. You can't interact with people. He probably had more of a desire or more of a curiosity.
Well, he was going to marry this girl that had a child.
No, that was his brother.
Oh,
His
shit.
brother.
Maybe that's
His brother was going to marry her and leave the house.
motive. If
And
I've
that's
seen him.
what happened. He never
Yeah.
made it that far because he inhaled
Okay.
some smoke.
He inhaled smoke.
Yeah, he gone.
Face down.
Yep. So
I mean, how would you fall if you had a heart attack?
um,
Forward, right?
sunny side up.
Sunny side up.
Yeah, I believe that's the term.
Bury me ass up. Everyone can kiss it. I don't know.
And
Well-
I mean, he could have had that, but
Isolation
It's,
was a
uh,
big factor there.
oh,
I,
for
I
sure.
mentioned it.
Yeah.
Now he said, I felt alone.
Mhm.
That's part of the isolation too, right? You're in a remote location. That's
Right.
isolation, but mentally you're isolated because you're alone and you have a deep feeling of loneliness. And I can imagine that right there, that loneliness part, that I think is huge.
Mhm.
I think that's huge. And I don't know. I'm not saying he killed these people to be like to have friends.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
I don't think that was it.
Yeah, 'cause
but-
I mean, he wasn't posting up bodies, like,
yeah. Yeah.
that type of stuff.
He was
but-
trying to remake his mom, basically.
Yeah.
So it has nothing to do. Well, that's I guess he wanted to be back with her, so not to be alone,
Right.
and she was his only.
Yeah, it's a whole deep thing because it wasn't like he like kind of Frankensteined body parts together
Mhm.
to make a actual mom. Like it wasn't like a Norman Bates like
Now
had her sitting there.
is Frankenstein based off of Ed Gein's thing, or was that before
No,
Ed Gein?
That was
way before, right?
Way before.
That's interesting.
Right. But yeah, but this was he literally made a skin suit.
I wonder if he
Made a
got the
female
idea
skin suit.
from Frankenstein. Frankenstein.
Maybe. It's a good question.
Uh,
I don't know. But again, he made a skin suit. He didn't make a body.
that's true.
He made a skin suit, so
He
was becoming his mother.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and then I wonder, like they said he was later diagnosed as schizophrenic, but I wonder if that was stemmed from the isolation.
Mm-hmm.
Like if
I'm sure.
you can't go anywhere, like at least when his mom was alive, you can't go anywhere, you can't interact with people, you can't have friends. So what are you gonna do when you're not, side by side with her? You're gonna use your imagination. You're gonna, literally have imaginary friends.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that probably stemmed from that.
Yeah, and she was so like it said, domineering.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when the guy beat up that dog, she was like,
Did she give a shit about the dog?
"Yeah, I didn't give a
Like that lady.
That
He's not married
lady,
to that
though.
lady.
How dare you kill that dog in front of that lady?
She's,
That lady's
didn't
not
care.
even."
she was like, how dare that lady be there?
exactly.
Yeah.
Like, this harlot.
Yeah.
What a
Like, who are you?
name.
It's not even your business.
Oh my gosh.
If someone's beating up a dog, then yeah, absolutely. Fucking get in there and be like, hey, don't do that.
Yeah.
But to be like, not even be phased at that, but the fact that some lady was there,
Mm-hmm.
like, that's not your business. Mind your
None.
business.
None of your business.
Damn it. These people.
People suck.
Yep. It's been happening for a long time.
I know. What happened next year? Obviously, you lived for a while, and then what happened?
Well, the fate of Gaines' property. So Gaines' house and the 195-acre property were appraised at $4,700.
$4,700.
So that's the equivalent to $48,000 in 2022. Which even that, I feel like that's very,
nothing.
very low,
It's very low.
for that many acres. However, his possessions were scheduled to be auctioned on March 30th, 1958, amidst rumors that the house and the land it stood on might become a tourist attraction. How about that?
I can't. I wouldn't.
Like, how fucked up is that?
I wouldn't go.
Whew.
I'm sure there's some people that get their rocks off on that sort of thing,
I mean,
and I don't judge them. That's fine. I myself, I wouldn't. There's a lot of other places I would rather go.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't, with that, I get pretty dark and twisted in things that I like.
Maybe you go to the
And-
auction. Maybe
no, even that. I
don't wanna go to the
I don't
auction?
think, like, it's one thing if it was a movie set,
Okay.
right? If
Okay.
it was the Texas Chain Saw Massacre set,
Okay.
then absolutely, like, I'll go visit that any day.
Oh, this would be
But
real.
When it's real life stuff like
Yeah.
that, like, I mean, there's a lot of people that there's a lot of podcasts out there that have, they're serial killer podcasts. They talk about different things like that, and they're very into stuff like that. And it's no hate or disrespect to any of them, but yeah, for at least for me personally,
Mm-hmm.
where something like that, a fucking real life house of horrors as a tourist attraction, even that's like, that's a little disrespectful in my book.
Yeah, I couldn't. I don't think I could.
Yeah, that'd
it
be-
just seemed like a waste of money to me.
Now, if they did a like recreation, obviously using fake things,
Mm-hmm.
that I would check out,
Yeah.
to be like, this is what it looked like when
Right.
they went in,
Mm-hmm.
but it's all it's fake shit, right?
And of all the conversational pieces you want, you like this was the lip line.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Just hit that light.
Just hit that. Just. Yeah. I don't know. I
Just pull the
don't feel like
lips. Yeah.
I don't feel like it's a thing that
I
I.
mean,
wanna
obviously,
do.
they wouldn't have like left the bones and stuff in there, but I don't like. It's still just like, it's a little bad taste.
What if they missed a couple bones somewhere? You know what I mean? Like
right?
he probably has. I bet there is. Still to this day, I bet there's some
Well, I mean,
body
yeah, with
part.
that many acres.
Yeah.
If he had like buried shit and whatnot.
I think there probably is.
Yeah.
Check the walls.
Check the walls.
The walls.
Well, let's see. I don't think it's there anymore, but let's find out here.
Oh, okay.
So early on the morning of March 20th, the house was destroyed by fire. There you go. A deputy fire marshal reported that a garbage fire had been set 75 feet from the house by a cleaning crew who was given the task of disposing of refuse. The hot coals were recovered from the spot of the bonfire, but that the fire did not spread along the ground from that location to the house. So arson was suspected, but the cause of the fire was never officially determined.
God damn it.
Yet again, they're like, well, shit happens. It is possible that the fire was not considered a matter of urgency by Fire Chief Frank Warden, son of Gein's victim Bernice Warden. So he probably wanted it to burn.
Son
of Bernice Warden.
Oh, there it is.
Yep.
Yeah.
Seems a little suspicious, though, huh?
Well, just blind justice, maybe. I don't know.
When Gein learned of the incident while in detention, he shrugged and said, "Just as well." That seems to be pretty much everyone in this information.
That's the best thing that could happen to that house.
Just as well. That means they didn't find the rest of the bodies. So Gein's Ford sedan, which he used to haul the bodies of his victims, was sold at public auction for $760, equivalent to $7,700 in 2022, to Carnival sideshow operator Bunny Gibbons. Gibbons charged carnival goers 25-cent admission to see it.
Would you want to go see it?
Nah.
It's just a car.
To pay a quarter, sure, but
just a car.
No.
Is it a special car?
I mean, no.
You gonna smell different?
It might smell a little death-like.
Did he clean it?
Probably not.
Oh.
He seemed to be, the pictures I've seen, he's kind of a hoarder, so probably not. Probably a few bones in there, too.
I need that sedan.
So Gein died at the Mendota Mental Health Institute due to respiratory failure secondary to lung cancer on July 26, 1984, at the age of 77. Over the years, souvenir seekers chipped pieces from his gravestone at the Plainfield Cemetery until the stone itself was stolen in 2000.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
I thought it was unmarked.
Well, that's why. Now it's unmarked.
But I think when you say unmarked, it was always unmarked.
No, it was. Let's see what this says. It was recovered in June 2001 near Seattle, Washington, and was placed in storage at the Waushara County Sheriff's Department. The gravesite itself is now unmarked, but not unknown. Gein is interred between his parents and brother in the cemetery. Spoiler alert. That's where he's at.
That's where he wants to be for sure.
Yeah.
He's probably like, "Hey, Henry, how about you lose it, man? How about you get out of here?
Why don't you go inhale some smoke?"
Yeah.
But yeah,
take a dirt nap.
People are fucking weird, man. Like, imagine going to a famous person's, regardless of what they're famous for, a famous person's gravesite, and be like, "I'm just gonna chip away a little. I'm just gonna take a little souvenir."
You think they did it to have a souvenir, or you think they did it to make sure he is not memorialized in any way?
No, they did it for probably to try and sell it.
You think?
Yeah.
Well, that's not what the police. I bet it. Obviously, police officers want fucking this thing on fire. They want it gone, and they don't want any mark of history of this guy. I'm wondering if I
think they're just
there's probably some souvenirs, but
at their jobs.
People suck.
People suck. That's the moral of the story. People suck.
Some people. So
of course, then we get to our part of the story here. So of course, pop culture. So Gein's story has had a lasting effect on American popular culture, as evidenced by its numerous appearances in film, music, and literature. The tale first came to widespread public attention in the fictionalized version presented by Robert Bloch in his 1959 suspense novel Psycho. In addition to Alfred Hitchcock's 1960 film of Bloch's novel Psycho, Gein's story was loosely adapted into numerous films, including Deranged, In the Light of the Moon, released in the United States and Australia as Ed Gein. Ed Gein, the old bitcher, the butcher of Plainfield.
Bitcher of Butcher.
Ed Gein, the musical.
Oh. That's
and,
just filled with
of
love.
course, Rob Zombie Films' House of a Thousand Corpses and its sequel, The Devil's Rejects. Gein served as the inspiration for myriad fictional serial killers, most notably Norman Bates from Psycho, Leatherface from the Texas Chain Saw Massacre, Buffalo Bill from The Silence of the Lambs, Garland Green from Con Air, and the character Dr. Oliver Thredson in the TV series American Horror Story Asylum.
What was this Con Air one? What are you saying?
What's his name? Let's see.
Oh, when
Garland
he was in
Green.
the prison with, you're talking about, so Con Air with
Con Air, Nicolas Cage.
Nicolas Cage.
I believe is it Steve Buscemi's character?
Maybe.
He's like you don't see it in the movie, but yeah, they allude that he's like a complete fucking psycho.
Yes. Okay.
I
Thank you.
believe
All right.
that's that character. I believe.
Okay.
I
All right.
believe. American filmmaker Errol Morris and German filmmaker Werner Herzog attempted unsuccessfully to collaborate on a film project about Gein from 1975 to 1976. Morris interviewed Gein several times and ended up spending almost a year in Plainfield interviewing dozens of locals. The pair planned secretly to exhume Gein's mother from her grave to test the theory. She was not cremated, but never
There you
followed
go.
through on the scheme and eventually ended their collaboration. The aborted project was described in a 1989 New Yorker profile of Morris. Dude, how fucked up is that?
That they
We're
were
gonna make a movie in 1975, so it's not even that far removed from it.
right.
And you know what would be a good idea? Let's dig up his mom.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Let's do it.
Like what? For
What it-
what?
So they,
To test it, to test the theory.
we are not sure if Ed Gein did dig up his mom.
It's never mentioned here. I don't
can't-
remember ever hearing about it. Prior.
That drives me crazy because it's like this guy was so attached to his mom, and he's exhuming bodies left and right. Apparently,
Let's find out. We've looked up everything else. 18 months after his mother's death, an intensely lonely Gein's visit to his mother's grave developed into nocturnal trips to Plainsfield Cemetery and other nearby burial grounds with a pry bar. This says he dug up his mother and removed her head, which he took home to shrink, just as he had read about in his books.
knew it.
So
Had
maybe in the shrunken heads were the masks. So maybe he did wear her face.
Then why kill these other people for more, like maybe because the fate? Well, no, because if he made the mask, I would say, does it deteriorate? I don't know what to say.
Well, he he kind of like preserved it, like he tanned it.
Pickled it.
He picked
Yeah, he pretty much pickled it.
pickle mom.
You can pickle anything.
Well, you can, yeah. Pickle red. But yeah, I mean he it was just the skin.
Right.
So,
It's
yeah,
not
I
like
mean,
he
he-
wore like skull in the skin.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
That was
Ugh.
it was the cereal. But
That was-
no, he removed the skin, so it was just the skin. So yeah, he like tanned it and leathered it, whatever you do in that scenario. So
So he did exhume the body.
that's what
and
this
took
says
the head.
from the New Zealand Herald. So
Okay.
that's
trust
what they
that? I
say.
don't know.
No, allegedly.
Allegedly.
That's why we say allegedly.
And shrunk it like a freaking one of those doll. What are those things called? Just shrunken heads.
Shrunken heads.
Shrunken
Yeah.
head.
I
Like some voodoo magic or
that's
something.
what I'm. Yeah. That's what you think of, but they said he wore it as a mask. Like the shrunken heads were masks, so they wouldn't be like, like Beetlejuice shrunken
Right.
head type deal. So I think it's a little different than what we're thinking
Okay.
when they say shrunken head. I think it was probably just means the skin, like obviously it would shrink a bit.
Mm-hmm.
So that may be what they're talking about.
All right.
But yeah, I don't know.
Look at him.
Just look at him. I don't know what this is. That may be his mom's face. It may not be. I'm not sure. I don't know. This looks like a whole thing. Not sure.
Well,
Not even sure.
that's interesting. I had to, again, I want to put it in a box so I can understand it.
Well, yeah. I mean, you would think, yeah. Like I said, I don't know why it's not included in this giant article here, but
Yeah. I guess maybe it's just
it
not.
is what it is.
I think it's a mention, right? Like, is it maybe because it's questionable whether it's true or not.
Right.
And usually, like things like Wikipedia, they try to be based on reliable sources.
Right.
that may be a reliable source. I don't know.
But yeah, I think it's safe to assume
I
that
think he
he
probably did.
probably,
I bet he probably.
if that's what if he won, if you're going to become your mother,
Yes.
you're probably going to need a little of your mother
You
in
need
there.
your mother.
Right.
Unless she has a twin.
Well, that would be your aunt. Don't want to be your aunt. You want to be your mother.
Who looks more like a mother?
Who looks more like your mother? Your aunt does.
Your aunt does.
Ha, trick question.
Aha.
Ah. What else do we have here? So Ed Gein inspired American thrash metal band Slayer to write the song Dead Skin Mask from their 1990 album Seasons in the Abyss. And actually, funny enough that you said earlier about mixing up Ed Kemper and Ed Gein.
Okay.
Because the character Patrick Bateman in the 1991 novel American Psycho and its 2000 film adaptation mistakenly attributes a quote by Edmund Kemper to Gein, saying, quote, "You know what Ed Gein said about women? He said, when I see a pretty girl walking down the street, I think two things. One part of me wants to take her out, talk to her, be real nice and sweet and treat her right. The other part wonders what her head would look like on a stick." So that was actually a Kemper quote. So they did have the same mindset.
My God, what Kemper are you going to get? You think, going on a date with that guy is like a 50-50.
Yeah,
Shit.
that's a whole other story.
You have to like disprove that my head looks good on a spike or whatever.
Right.
How do you do that?
I don't know. I don't have the answer for that.
Sticks are real thin. My head's real fat. It doesn't look right.
You want a bobblehead? Because that's how you get a bobblehead.
It just doesn't look right. So obviously, no one wants to see that.
Yeah.
So
no,
probably just take me out and have a good time. That's what I think.
Keep you all intact.
Yeah.
That's right.
Treat me right.
Treat me right.
Damn.
Let's see. According to George W. Arndt, news reports at the time of Gein's crime spawned a subgenre of black humor called Geiners. Have you ever heard of Geiners?
Geiners. Spell it.
Geiners. Or I'm sorry, Gainers, I guess it
Gainers.
would be. Gainers. I can see his last name and say Gein or Gain the whole time, and then I see it like that. And Gainers.
Anyways,
it's
so
spelled
they're
wieners with a G.
Okay.
So it'd be Gainers.
So now that I know how it's spelled, like I take it
Gainers.
they're probably people that are, I don't know, somewhere cult-like behavior to the Gein mentality of sorts. Is this like
maybe.
a religion?
That was just black humor.
Oh.
So it was people making fun of, not making fun of or using it in comedy.
All right.
Kind of like
Those are Gainers?
That's Gainers.
Oh, cool. All right.
Like, kind of how we sprinkled in a little lightheartedness, a little comedy.
Tried. Yeah.
Just sprinkle it in.
It's hard to do that with all the death.
I know, right?
Yeah.
But that's how I always deal with serious
I feel like
subject matter.
What's his name? Eddie Izzard. You remember him?
Yeah.
Where he's like death. Quick shower. Death. Afternoon tea.
But yeah, that's what it was saying that people used or it spawned a subgenre of black humor called Gainers.
Okay, black humor.
Black humor.
Explain that. What is black humor?
It's dark humor.
Oh.
So like
dark humor.
Yeah, the same thing. It'd be like
I don't know. I was thinking like
making light of traumatic experiences or death,
Okay. All right.
That would be that.
Dark. I would prefer dark humor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm assuming I'm pretty sure that's the same. Also, yeah, black comedy, also known as dark comedy. Morbid humor, gallows humor, black humor, or dark humor. There you go.
Okay.
That's it. Cool. All the same.
Just learned something.
There you go. And knowing is half the battle. In 2022, Ed Gein was featured in an episode of Netflix's Dahmer, Monster, the Jeffrey Dahmer story, as a possible inspiration for Jeffrey Dahmer. However, a direct connection between the two is seen as speculation.
Mm-hmm.
And in 2023, this year, the year of our Lord, a multi-part docuseries about the life and upbringing of Ed Gein called Psycho, The Lost Tapes of Ed Gein, is apparently a thing, because that's
Lost
literally all
Tapes.
they wrote. So yeah, apparently there's some sort of docuseries out there that you can watch and get some more insight.
What are these lost tapes of? I
Lost
wonder?
tapes. I don't know. It doesn't say where it's at. It's literally just the last sentence in this, and it's not even a complete sentence. 0 information.
Dang.
So let's Google it as we've done.
Google it.
Ed Gein, the
Lost
tapes. I guess it was Psycho. I don't know. That should bring something up. Psycho, the lost tapes of Ed Gein. Watch now on MGM. MGM Plus.
All right.
Must be a subscriber of MGM Plus. If not, get fucked.
Get lost. As
All
in these
watch
tapes.
options. YouTube Primetime subscription. Roku Premium subscription. YouTube TV.
Plex.
So yeah, it's like everything you have to be a subscriber of, apparently.
What
free
are these
streaming.
lost tapes? What the hell
What
is a
are
lost
they?
tape?
It's a tape that they found.
They just
It
found
was
it.
lost and now it's found.
It's just up. By
So
the way,
according to IMDb, and it only has a 5.8 out of 10, so it might not be that great.
uh,
Follows grave robber and serial killer Ed Gein, better known as the Ghoul of Plainfield and the Mad Butcher. That's a new one. From whose crimes such as iconic films as Psycho, Texas Chain Saw Massacre, and The Silence of the Lambs have emerged. So yeah,
okay.
there's been a few movies out about Ed Gein, like telling the story of like the true story of Ed Gein. Of one of which was done decently, kind of low budget. There was another one, which was, let's see. So this one from 2000, low budget but decent.
Mm-hmm.
There's Ed Gein, the Butcher of Plainfield. So we've seen pictures of what Ed Gein looks like.
Yes.
Not overly big.
Nope.
Ed Gein in this movie is played by Kane Hodder, who is Jason fucking Voorhees.
Oh.
So, yeah, this is Ed Gein, and that's what he looks like in the movie. Not even remotely close.
That's Ed Gein in the movie.
Yeah, it's
Oh
Kane,
my
that's
God.
Kane Hodder right there.
It's not close.
No, not at all.
Well, why'd they do that?
Well, why not?
Because they knew that he had to be that big to
I don't know.
hold the bodies. I don't know.
They just made some shitty little movie, and they cast.
Because he looks like a butcher.
Yeah,
Right,
they
your
went that route. They
stereotypical
were not.
butcher.
They were not staying to
No.
the true details.
No.
They're like, who we're gonna cast as Ed Gein? Kane fucking Hodder. Yes, and the rest is history.
That's funny. I mean, people suck, but
Right? People suck. But yeah, so that's the story that has inspired movies like Psycho, Texas Chain Saw Massacre, and The Silence of the Lambs. Or at least inspired, details in those movies. But they are not based on true stories.
no.
The story the movie itself is not true.
There you go.
So that's that.
So if anybody tells you Texas Chainsaw is based on a true story,
Yeah,
they can be
Leatherface
like,
was real. No.
you can take that and tell them to take a dirt nap
Yes.
because it's not true.
Take a nap.
It is inspired
Take a nap in the dirt.
by this person, the House of
Correct.
Horrors.
Correct. Yep. Yeah, because like I said, I did my senior project on this. Somehow they let me do this. That I was able to do
It's
my
history.
senior project on Ed Gein.
Yeah.
And the fact that Texas Chain Saw Massacre wasn't real. But yeah, it was like it was because the remake came out in 2003. And I think that was the one that was really advertised as being a true story. So of course everyone was like, "Oh, it's a real story." And so I was like, "Well, fuck this. I'm gonna do my actual research,
Mm-hmm.
and it'll be my senior project." So, yeah, I went over, went through all this, got all the information, and I was like, "Huh." So anytime after that, anyone was like, "Oh yeah, Texas Chainsaw Massacre is a true story. There was a dude in Texas that killed people with a chainsaw and wore their skin." I'm like, actually, I did my senior report.
It
on this,
wasn't.
and
It was Wisconsin.
You're wrong. You're wrong. There was no chainsaw. It was a gun. He killed 2 ladies with a gun. Everything else was from the graves. And you're fucking wrong. So yeah, that's that. So yeah, I mean, in this day and age, it's a little easier to get information. So
It is.
You know, when something says based on a true story, all you do is Google it.
And we know
And
1986,
Yep.
pick up sticks.
Yep.
Was when DNA tests started coming around.
There you go.
So thank goodness for that, huh?
Thank the Lord.
Thank the Lord. We'll
Just
get some
don't thank
facts.
him too much,
Yeah,
because you'll turn out like Ed Gein.
exactly. And we learned a recipe for making serial killers.
Yeah. Giant dose of religion,
Yep.
a medium dose of isolation,
Mm-hmm.
and another giant dose of your mother being a complete fucking bitch and not allowing you to speak to anyone else and telling you that all women are evil except for her.
A little bit of mental illness in there.
Oh, yeah. Sprinkle in
Sprinkle in that.
Yes.
That
'Cause
is-
I think that's...
Mwah.
Yeah.
Simmer.
He
and,
may have been born with that,
Mhm.
but everything else definitely upped the mental illness for sure.
Mm. The guy never had a chance.
Never had a chance.
Never.
He could have had a chance, but mom
No.
and dad said nay.
Nah.
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 Dad was like, I'm gonna hit this bottle till I die, and mom's like, I'm gonna hit you till I die.
Ugh.
Fuck that dog.
Ugh.
She said, fuck
It's
that dog.
terrible. Terrible.
But who was that harlot?
Who what? I don't know.
Who was that harlot?
Who's that?
Who is she?
Is that her dog?
Not my dog, not my problem.
Jeez.
Yeah. So
Well, thank you
Ooh.
for the Ed Gein history lesson here.
yeah, it was literally I didn't have any other information, and this has now been the longest episode we've
Really?
done so far. Yeah, just Ed Gein.
I usually have this effect on podcasts. I'm sorry.
No, it's don't apologize. It's
No.
a good thing. It's good.
Is it
I like
good?
Yeah,
I had a lot of fun.
yeah.
I mean, this kind of stuff is interesting. And as I talk about it tomorrow,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to I'll probably have more questions about it. But it's funny that I was like, he probably exhumed his mom. He had to have. And then we find out Sounds like he did.
Yeah, he most likely did. Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
I'm a freaking detective.
Well, you're a smart guy.
I don't know about that, but thank you for saying
You
so.
put more effort into the
The
asking
investigation
questions
than they
yeah,
did?
than the entire police force and everyone involved.
That's
in,
hilarious.
The entirety of Ed Gein's life. So there's that.
Told you never had a chance.
No, they just nobody cared apparently.
No.
And the whole like the his house catching on fire
Mm-hmm.
and it alluding that it was the son because he was the fire marshal, whatever. I feel like it probably was allegedly, but like he already knows that she's gone. So why would you burn all the evidence of maybe potentially other people who have lost loved ones that could maybe be in there?
Maybe the area was heavily overbearing with religion. Okay, and they probably said like that is a house of fucking sin. That
Right.
is
The devil's house.
that is the devil. We have to burn it to ashes,
Okay.
all of it.
True. Okay. Yeah.
Maybe just throwing it out there.
I mean,
It's
people
fair.
get crazy with that shit. So
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
they would rather not know and have that house be destroyed
Done.
than to have it stand
Yeah.
with the possibility of finding out more information.
Yep. They want to
'Cause-
erase them off the face of the earth.
Information to religious people? Nah, don't need that.
No. No.
Don't even need it.
Don't even need it.
Don't want it. Don't need it. We're done with it.
Oh,
We
my
out of here. But yeah, so that was it. So if you've lasted the 1 hour and 50 minutes that we've gone now talking about Ed Gein, thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Hope
We
your drive
appreciate
or
it.
wherever you're listening to it was
Yeah.
safe and sound, and
Right?
and
you're
I hope you weren't feeling isolated.
yeah. And I hope you're not feeling too nauseous at this point with
Oh,
all
yeah.
the
Yeah.
terrible things. Terrible things. The House of Horrors.
Well, there was lots of blood, gore. Not so much ghouls though. Although he was a ghoul.
Plainfield ghoul,
He
they
was,
said.
yeah.
But that was not the ghouls that were
That we were
you
talking
know,
about. Yeah.
wrong kind of ghoul.
Yeah.
But it was fitting.
It was
It
fitting.
was fitting.
Very fitting.
But no. The blood, the gore, yeah. The goals though, that's the goal squad. That's the good goals,
All
not the bad ones.
right.
Ed Gein, bad goal.
Bad goal.
Bad goal. But yeah, I guess that's gonna wrap it up. I'm out of things to say. So unless you got something else.
No, that's it. I
it.
think this is a wrap.
All right, that's a wrap. So again, thank you all. Appreciate everyone that listens. If it's your first time checking it out, thank you. That's all I
All
got.
right.
Thank you. But that's going to do it for another episode of Blood, Gore, and Ghouls. Again, you don't really have social media, but like I said, you are one half of the Project Skeptic Podcast. So I will link that in the show notes. And as always, be sure to follow on Instagram at Blood, Gore, and Ghouls _podcasts, on Twitch at Ian Van Gogh, where we stream live this episode, every week. So check us out live if you like. Join the Ghoul Squad Discord, subscribe on YouTube, follow on TikTok at ian.vangol, and send us an email at bloodgoreandgoalspodcast@gmail.com. Of course, all links can be found in the show notes. But until next week, I've been your host, Ian Van Gogh.
I've been the Bumbeeno.
Bumbeeno. Have a ghoulish week. And you guys, stay safe out there.
Peace.
Cool.